Robert.
Yo, it's shaking AC.
Yo. All right. I'm good. How are you?
I am so excited right now because I know what we are about to rant about, and it is my favorite subject in the whole world.
Yeah, you're like that dog where like the whole butt is wagging side to side, right? I can't
Just
wait. I can't
losing
wait.
my mind.
All right. Well, let's give you the time you deserve. Let's jump right in and let's talk about it. So last week we ranted about, you're like, so last week we ranted about differentiator and setting yourself apart as a franchisor, making sure you understand and how to communicate that on the franchisee level, or sorry, on the consumer level. And then in terms of a franchisee looking at your business or prospective franchisee thinking, I might want to become a Control V franchisee. What makes this awesome? What makes you different? And we talked about that. But you mentioned something called an economic moat, which sounded super nerdy to me, but I'm sure it's got some good weight to it. So let's hear it. Let's talk about what is an economic moat.
All right. So an economic, like I learned this from my life on Bay Street, or the Canadian version of Wall Street, and from teachers like Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger and all these sort of things. An economic moat, the same way you have a moat around a castle to prevent bad guys from coming in, an economic moat is that moat around your business to prevent competition from coming in. So different than differentiation because it is a little bit more substantial and tangible, and usually has a significant level of durability. And so to me, when I look at businesses and I go, okay, is this something that should be invested in or something that could grow? I think about what their economic moat is and how durable it is, because it's a forecast for the longevity of the business.
Right. So if you saw a business without an economic moat, it would be like you'd start to shake.
I'd be like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about different types of economic moats.
Okay. So there's a ton of them, but there's 4 key ones that I always love to talk about. Pat Dorsey reinforces it in his books too. So do you want me to get going? Do you want me to start?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So the first one I love to talk about is intangibles. Okay. So this is things like trademarks, copyrights, special licenses from governments or boards. If you're a medical startup or company and you need to have some sort of license from the government that allows you to produce this exclusively, even like Tiffany's, you know, that turquoise little box that has all that jewelry in, they've trademarked that color, that hex code for that color. Everyone knows the Tiffany's box, you know. Even Heinz ketchup, right? There's a level of, that's almost a bit of a brand durability. It reduces your search costs. You go to the grocery store shelf, I need some ketchup. You know Heinz, you know what it looks like. You know you're going to find it. That's their moat. So if you want to create ketchup or you want to create jewelry or whatever, you've got to overcome these other people's economic moats.
Okay. Are there other kind of economic moats?
Yeah, there's 3 more. There's 3 more.
Yeah, that was just the one. Okay.
Yes. Okay. The next one is switching costs. So how easy is it for somebody to switch away from your product? Example I love to give about that is the Microsoft Office suite, like Excel and Word and things like that. It is so ingrained into how businesses operate that if a better competitor came along, good luck trying to change. You've got to retrain your staff. You've got to learn all the different keystrokes. It's just easier to stay with what's there because it's so sticky.
Yeah, no, that's a really sticky example. What about a membership at something? Like, would that be a good example? If you had a
membership at a gym?
Yeah. Or like a salon membership where you went and got services every month, or some kind of
it could be. If you've ever tried to cancel your gym membership, it's one hell of a nightmare. So
I've never done that.
You might just want to continue paying $60 every month, even though you don't go to the gym, because it's so sticky. You don't want to.
Gotcha. Okay. So so it could be, but if it's easy to cancel. Okay. Gotcha. Number
3, the network effect. So this one's kind of newish. I mean, it's about a decade and a half, maybe 2 decades old. But this is having the network to build a business around. So for example, Facebook, nobody's going to go on Facebook if their friends aren't there. A dating website, nobody's going to go on that if there aren't other people there to date. You know what I mean? So it's all about who's in that network and how you've built it up that keeps you there. Oh my God, do I really have to switch to a new social media platform if all of my friends are already on this one? And the same thing happened with credit cards. You know, when Visa, Diners Club, MasterCard first came out, nobody wanted to use that because there was no, debit machines or terminals in the stores, and the stores didn't want to get those because nobody was using the card. So somehow somebody had to break that network effect. And there's a whole theory and journal articles written on how to break that, but it comes from one side. And we're kind of experiencing that now with electric cars, right? Do you want an electric car if you can't fill it up or charge it up? Do you want to open up a charge station if people don't really have electric cars? So once you get that electric car, once everyone's working with it, it'll be hard to change towards something else, just like it's hard to change away from the petrol right now. I mean, there's some people that are like just total petrol heads, and they love to feel the power of a vehicle within their palms. But so that's an example of a network effect.
Okay, so before we go to number 4, what went through my mind was, and I don't know if you remember this, but VHS versus beta tape, like recording, like tape, like VHS tapes. There used to be, for a short bit of time, there was beta. And my family, we thought we were so awesome. I was a teenager or a kid or something at the time, maybe not teenager, but like a young teen. And my family bought a beta record, like it's not even called a VHS, tape recorder or whatever you call it, or tape player. And it went out of TiVo, and then it got replaced. Like, are those kind of,
that can be a network effect. There's a limitation to its durability, right? Like if you're constantly buying VHS and then DVD comes along, but VHS stays around, you might be like, I don't really see the difference in the quality, or I don't care about the difference in the quality, so I'm going to continue my VHS collection. But as soon as VCRs stopped getting produced and studios stopped printing stuff on VHS, then you were forced to switch over to the other one. And now you start to get into the network of all the players and the content being produced for that one particular thing. And if you look at like online streaming services right now, Netflix was the big player, right? And they've sort of developed a network where there's enough people paying for it that Netflix can afford to syndicate content. But as soon as that sort of breaks, then they'll go somewhere else. And so now you've got Disney and Apple TV and all that sort of stuff. So they're in this huge content syndication battle.
Yeah, crazy. Anyway, number 4, let's do it.
Number 4, and this is costs. Now, for a lot of people, you think costs, okay, low costs, whatever, I'll just lower my costs. But it's not necessarily the cost of operation, it's the cost of scalability. So an example I love to give is something like FedEx or UPS or something like that. They have planes and trucks and trains and boats going to every corner of the world. So if you want to send something, they have the largest network. And not only that, each additional package that you send, it's almost goes 100% of the bottom line for them, because they've already expensed the fixed expense to send their trucks and their planes and stuff like that there. So they've got this massive network, and they can scale because of that network.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that's a lot to think about for people, but I think that the key takeaway for people here should be that to really think about, what it is that is your economic mode. And if you don't have one, you should probably try to get one. But I think it's pretty figure outable if you give it some thought for every business. Do you agree? Or are there businesses that you can't really figure that out, like a bakery?
I think not everyone has an economic moat. I would think that most people can create an economic moat. It may not be a very easy feat, but a lot of that has to do with what we spoke about before in terms of, I think we talked about this in a rant, playing in a blue ocean instead of a red ocean. And rather than trying to compete, alter the industry, alter your product, create something new, and then you'll have an easier time creating an economic moat.
Yeah. All right. Well, how about this? Because it's a pretty complicated topic. If anybody wants more help on creating or figuring out your economic moat, reach out to us. We can help you out. Well, Robert can. Reach out to Robert through our social media here, and we will help you with your economic moat.
Yes.
All right, you ready for this?
I was born ready for this.
3, 2, 1.
Go be awesome.